I'm Nick Mueller, President and CEO of the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. I'm here today with Gary Sinise, and we're talking about a wonderful new partnership between the Gary Sinise Foundation and the National World War II Museum. So Gary, what initially drew you to the National World War II Museum and the idea for this partnership?
One of the reasons I founded the foundation is to be able to continue to spread messages and education and that kind of thing to younger generations about service and the importance of service and our defenders. And what you're doing at the museum is preserving great stories about these great Americans who saved the world from tyranny in the 1940s. We're trying to spread that message of the importance of service and sacrifice and the importance of defending this nation and what it takes to defend this nation. So the coming together of the two organizations to document these oral histories of our living heroes from World War II is very, very critical and important. And that's why it's a blessing for me to be able to come to you and support your work at the museum with not only preserving the stories and sending historians out across the country to do that, but to try and get as many World War II veterans to see this beautiful museum.
It's an amazing legacy that these guys have left, and there is a great sense of urgency because sadly we're losing them quickly now. And you begin to feel every time a veteran leaves us, a library burns. It's all that knowledge and those memories and those stories that we'll never, ever get back.
That's so critical for our young people.
Yeah, so just imagine if we had oral histories from guys in World War I or Gettysburg, or, 200 years from now, these oral histories are going to be the stuff of what the American spirit was all about and why we fought. And that's what the mission of the museum is, to tell that big epic story from the ground up, from the guys who were in the foxholes or on the ships, in the planes. And those personal stories and their personal artifacts, that means everything.
When I went down there for the first time, I was so knocked out by it and impressed by it that I called my uncle and my dad and I said, you guys are going to New Orleans. So I had them go down for a visit. And that's when he was recorded.
They're knocking plane after plane out of the sky. So I said, I get on the horn, I said to the colonel, I said, Colonel, do you want to turn short? We got a long bomb run, we can turn short and not go right over that point. No, by gosh, we're going to stay on course, blah, blah, blah. With that, we're just about to fillets. And then we get hit.
You know, my dad never remembers my uncle talking much about the war, and it was later in life that when my uncle really started sharing all kinds of stories, and that was certainly a great moment to be able to walk through that museum with his brother, my dad, and share those things with him and start talking about them.
We now have 8,000 oral histories, most of them on videotape that we collect, and we integrate them into our exhibits. We're going to make them digitally accessible to people all over the country, all over the world.
This aspect of what the museum does is so critical because it's the 21st century. There's a new way of communicating. There's a new way that children learn. The interactive things that you're doing at the museum are so critically important to help this younger generation.
You have been so engaged with this, with wounded warriors and families, that it's all kind of a connective tissue.
It's the most important thing I do in service to others. So we crafted the Gary Sinise Foundation mission to serve and honor the needs of our military, our veteran community, our wounded, our Gold Star families, those in need, and we do it in various ways. And what we do with the World War II Museum is part of our education piece.
Working together, we can create something better than working independently. That's what good partnerships do.
Well, what I wanted to offer to the museum through the Gary Sinise Foundation and our support is to help that education piece, to help the urgency that you mentioned with our surviving World War II veterans, to try to help you preserve as many of these archival stories as possible. So we've offered to fund a historian. We've offered to bring people to the museum, which, gosh, we have this incredible National World War II Museum in New Orleans. And so many of our veterans will never get to see it or experience it unless we can find a way to help get some of them there. So what we've offered is to try to fund actual trips of some of these veterans to go there, individually and as a group, and also to send historians out to document those that cannot travel.
Thank you, Gary, and for your foundation support. We're going to make it better together.
The feeling is mutual. Thank you so much.
We look forward to seeing you in New Orleans at the National World War II Museum with a whole plane load of veterans.
Thank you so much.